Hello, this is Dr. Jessica Fush, and this is Farmers Market Fido. I am honored to report that I have been invited to be on Dr. Judy Morgan's podcast that's going to be starting up again soon. And for that reason, we are making one of her recipes. It's the world famous Puploaf. The base of it is 3 pounds of 90-10 ground beef. So that is going to go in this bowl where I have added the chicken gizzards, the beef heart, and the beef liver. That's 20 ounces of chicken gizzards, 8 ounces of beef heart, and 5 ounces of beef liver.
All right, you're rolling.
This recipe calls for 8 ounces of beef heart. And because I got a whole half of a heart right here, I'm going to go ahead and weigh out other 8-ounce portions so that when I make this recipe in the future, it's easier. Plus, my teenage son wants to eat some. Isn't this cool? So these things right here are called chordae tendineae. Little anatomy lesson for you. I'm just gonna cut it off into chunks and weigh out 8-ounce portions. Trying to be even with the parts that have fat and the parts that don't have fat. It didn't state whether it was with fat or without fat, but I just usually include it. All right, so there's one 8-ounce portion that will be for my next Puploaf right here. And I will label it so that I know the date that I put it in the freezer, how much is in there. This is a brand new meat grinder that I just got and I haven't ever used before, so we're going to test this product together. I will link it in the description. It's a meat grinder that was only 50 bucks, so we'll see if it works. Never actually used any meat grinder ever before. So, turn it on. This is gonna be really loud. So, we're gonna show you part of it and then break so you don't have to hear that sound. This is the 5 ounces of beef liver that we are grinding. Then I will do the 8 ounces of beef heart, as well as the 20 ounces of chicken gizzards, so that everything can be uniformly distributed within the Puploaf. It needs a shield. Oh, that's nasty. All right, well. Okay, now I need a shower. I'm gonna put this meat. I went to Edwards Meat Market. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. So if you're in the Front Range or anywhere in Denver, they are awesome. And we're gonna put that in there. We're gonna mix it all up. The vegetables and the fruit are also in there. I started the broccoli already because I wanted to make sure it was gonna work. You definitely do not have to have this Cuisinart, but if you have one, it's very handy and it will make it easier for you. So I'm just gonna put all my veggies in here. There's 4 ounces of broccoli, 5 ounces of red pepper, 2 ounces of ginger. It calls for 4 ounces of shiitake mushrooms, but there's 5 ounces in this package, so I'm gonna do that. And that's full, so that's enough. We're just gonna go ahead and put this on there. So this was 5 ounces of power green, so a mixture of kale and spinach and a few other greens. It was a 5-ounce container. It calls for 5 ounces. Teenager ate some, but that's okay. An ounce or two off when it comes to vegetables is not going to off balance your recipe, like hardly at all. Because greens cook down so well, I didn't feel it was necessary to chop these. They're all small pieces anyway. They will distribute evenly. Then we have, I went ahead and let this defrost. So this is 10 ounces. I believe it calls for 8 ounces, but again, I'm gonna use this entire package. And when I mix it all up, because it's defrosted, it will squish. This is butternut squash, by the way, if you can't read it. Then it also calls for 5 eggs. I am going to crack all 5 of these eggs into here and then rinse out the eggshells, put them back in the carton to dry. I have a constant supply of eggshells being dried and then ground, and so I'll show you that. So that's our 5 eggs. The reason to grind your own eggshells instead of buying eggshell powder is that eggshell membranes, this inner layer here that you can see when you crack it open, there's like a membrane there. That's very good for joint health, and you want that. If you buy eggshell powder commercially made, they take that eggshell membrane out and they sell that as a separate supplement. So I'm gonna crack the equivalent, as I make a huge mess, I'm gonna crack the equivalent of 5 eggs. That was 3, 4, 5, approximately. It's really difficult to overdo calcium, but you want it to be balanced. You want the calcium phosphorus ratio to be balanced, so that's something that you don't wanna get too far off on. This is gonna be really loud, so we'll cut this out. All right, so there are our 5 eggshells. Pour that in. Then there are 3 tablespoons of kelp powder here. I couldn't find kelp powder. You can get it online, but I didn't want to wait to make this video. So I have these capsules, and it turned out to be 30 capsules that made 3 tablespoons. And then flaxseed oil. This is fun. I've never actually made this recipe before because, I don't know, I was having fun making my own recipes, but Dr. Judy Morgan is a pioneer in this space. I'm sure everyone who watches my videos also knows her, and if you don't, you should look her up. 1, 2, 3. All right, now for the fun part. We are going to take any rings off and squish it all up. I suppose you could use a device to do this if you don't want to put your hands all in it, but you do want to mix it really, really well. I did the math for you. Dr. Judy Morgan says to feed 2 to 3% of the body weight. So Bruno is 28 pounds, but he's an intact male, young and active. So I just rounded up to make the math easier. And I'm going to feed him 3%. So that's 0.9 pounds per day. Probably feed him a pound a day. And Maggie, she's an old lady. If you followed me for a while, you've been seeing her. You can go back and see her, what was it, the 10th birthday? No, 13th birthday. Now she is 15. She's turning 15 in March. So she's 50 pounds, and a lot of times as dogs get older, they actually need to eat more towards the higher end of the calories, even though they're less active. It's just, I think they don't absorb the food as easily. So I'm going to feed her towards the higher end of the calories, or the weight of the food. And so 3% is 1.5 pounds. Okay, that's my 2 dogs. But all you have to do is put your dog's weight and multiply that by 0.03 on your calculator. And then you'll know how much to weigh out for your dog each day. So when you're using a food scale, you want to tare it which means make it say 0 with the container on top of the scale. So I'm going to try and get to a pound. I don't think that is going to fit it. Let's use this. So I need to tare it again because I have a different container. 0. So now it says 0. We're going to see how much 1 pound is. Make it on the correct units. Okay, 16 ounces. Oh, there are pounds. Okay. So, that's a pound. That amount of food is not going to fit into my muffin container. Let's see how many muffins does Bruno get to eat each day? Probably, oh, that's gonna make a mess. If you have a little teeny dog, that might work better. Yeah. Okay. So Bruno needs to eat 4 muffins a day. You put this in your oven, I suggest putting a baking sheet underneath it to catch anything that drips off. And Maggie needs to have 1.5 pounds, so we're gonna do 6 muffins a day. Or you can weigh it after it's been cooked. So I'm just gonna make a few actual Puploafs. I don't have a good bread loaf container, but this will work. It's like making mud pies. All right. I think I'm gonna need another container. Let's see. It does change the amount when you weigh it raw versus cooked. So I may do a re-weighing after I cook it. All right. We are going to, so we're preheating the oven to 325 degrees, and we're going to cook this for about an hour. Okay, you can turn it off. I've preheated the oven to 325 degrees. I've put a pan on the very bottom to collect any juices that may drip. And I'll come back in an hour and I'll show you the finished product. Here's our Puploaf. I'm gonna weigh out 1 pound for Bruno.
Maggie's waiting.
Yeah, Bruno's hiding because Maggie has taken to, actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the 0.9. Maggie's getting a little grumpy in her old age. Tare it, because it's a different bowl, and she needs 1.5 pounds, so she needs a little bit more than that. Don't mind me. All right, perfect. Here you go, Maggie. Here, Bruno. Over here, Bruno.
Hey, Maggie.
I think she loves it.
Again?
Make sure that you let it cool down enough before you feed it to them, of course. And I will link the recipe or the Dr. Judy Morgan's website in the description below.